As we learn about the Oregon Trail, I want to read to you an excerpt from a journal by the man named Robert Reeder. He was 19 when he journeyed along the trail, and this was in 1856. On the 5th of May, we sailed out from Liverpool, England, on the great ocean, which took us a little over 6 weeks to cross. I was very sick along the way and could not eat very much. I was glad when we arrived at Castle Garden, New York, where we could finally get a piece of bread once more. We rested here a few days, then pursued our journey by railroad and steamboats, changing from one into the other until we arrived at the Iowa camping ground, where we had to lay over 2 to 3 weeks waiting for our outfits. When our handcart company got started out, we were about 300 miles on the road. Our cattle stampeded. This left us in a bad state to move any further. We stayed there for several days, hunting as far as we dared to go to find some of our cattle, but could not find any, believing that the Indians must have driven them away. Then some of the flour was taken out of the wagons and put on the handcarts according to the strength of the party drawing them. Some had 1, others 2 or 3. And if my memory serves me right, Brother Huron, being considered the strongest man the company had 5 sacks put on his cart, besides 2 small girls that were not able to walk, and all of his baggage and cooking utensils. His wife helped him in pulling the cart and walked the entire trail. My father, David Reeder, would start out in the morning and pull his cart until he would drop on the road. He did this day after day until he did not rise early on October 7th, 1856. He was found dead in his bed, and his fellow bedmate had not heard a thing during the night. Sister Eliza wrapped a cherished sheet around him, and we placed him in a shallow grave, hoping the wolves would not disturb. We must go on our way in a silent mourning and in a weakened condition. Our rations were growing shorter, and we reduced them by common consent from day to day. Nights were getting colder, and some would sit down by the roadside and die. My younger sister Caroline, 17 years old, after traveling all day and seeing the camp being made for the night, took off her apron to tie some sagebrush in to bring into the camp. She sat down to rest, leaning on her bundle, exhausted. They found her chilled and dying and carried her to camp. She died without gaining consciousness. She, too, was placed in an unmarked grave near 3 Crossings, Sweetwater River. She died on the evening of October 15th. Her death was another real loss to us, but we must hurry on in threatening weather and colder nights on the Wind River Pass. So it was with others, as many as 13 being buried in one grave at one time. I think fully 100 died on this trip. On October 17th, we awoke covered with 8 inches of snow and rations about gone. We pulled our carts 16 miles in a blinding snowstorm and arrived at Rock Creek, where we sheltered against the hill as best we could to avoid the north wind and blowing snow. Weakened to such an extent and without food, 13 died that night. All the able-bodied men dug one large grave, but not too deep. My brother-in-law, James Huron, held out his 8-year-old girl, Mary, to see her little playmate lying among the dead. They were laid away in the clothes they wore, in a circle with feet to center and heads out.